Synchrony Financial believes ambitions live everywhere. Whether in-store or online, every day at over 350,000 partner locations, we provide promotional financing to help customers purchase the things they need. Whatever you're working forward to, we have the technology, payment tools, and retail insights to help. What are you working forward to? Learn more at synchronyfinancial.com. Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 127 of Total Retail Talks. I'm Caitlin Sullivan, Senior Editor of Total Retail, and I'm joined today by Shelly Madick, Co-founder and Chief Operations Officer of Bow Drape, a customized apparel company for women. We're going to be discussing how Bow Drape has created customer loyalty through personalization and future plans for the brand. Hi Shelly, thanks so much for joining me today.
Hi Caitlin, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk.
So I just would like to kind of dive right in. Tell us a little bit about Bow Drape and why you decided to start the company.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Bow Drape is a destination really for millennial women to come and express themselves through their fashion and accessories. We really see ourselves as a place where women can come, say whatever they want, and leave with a fun item that really expresses who they are. The origin story of Bow Drape is one experienced by my co-founder, Aubrey Pagano. She was heading back west to her boyfriend at the time's family to meet them for the first time at a wedding. And it was really high stakes, at least in her mind. And she wanted something that was really expressive of her personality and something special. And she couldn't really find that at an accessible price point. So what she ended up doing was literally making her own dress, which is not something that most women have the skills to do. She's a very enterprising woman. And so she thought to herself, there must be a better way to get something special at an accessible price point that really reflects my vision and my moods and what I want to say with my clothing. So therein lies the beginning of Bow Drape. We've come a long way from dresses and sort of more expensive separates to really fun, cheeky, irreverent apparel and accessories. But all sort of hearkening back to the idea that women want something that expresses their own voice.
Absolutely. So I think customization and personalization are key trends for retailers today, but it can be difficult to implement. How has Bow Drape been able to create such a successful business model over this concept?
Yeah, so I think, it's much easier, to build a company around customization and personalization when it's, your central ethos versus a much larger organization that has to pivot and sort of see it as an experiment. So, as we set out to build Bow Drape, all of our resources are sort of geared toward building something with customization and personalization in mind. And, we began as a strictly B2C business. We were and still are, a relatively small, nimble business. But everything has that eye toward customization from the ground up. So whether we're thinking about our supply chain or how we are marketing to customers, it's really all customization first. So, on the customer acquisition side, the content that we serve is really, really targeted and specific, which makes our marketing really effective, and it's, really personalized content that resonates with the consumer. On the operational side, we have very little waste. We really only buy our raw materials, or a huge portion of what we buy is raw materials, and we're making items to order. And so we aren't, sending tens of thousands of units out into the world to see who wants them. They're already spoken for by the time we're manufacturing them. And, up until today, we really don't carry very much standing inventory at all, except for in some of our very, very few selected styles, some of our sort of perennial powerhouses, if you will. And then on the return side, I know returns is something that all retailers are really, really struggling with, or always trying to sort of bring down as a percentage of the business. And our returns are super low, which we sort of credit to the idea that our clothes are really emotional and people have an attachment to them. So our returns are at around 3%, which is really low as an industry figure.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. 3% is certainly not a number that you hear all the time. That's awesome. Continuing with the idea of personalization, can you talk a little bit about your strategy around using customer data to help create your products and personalize them?
Sure. So, I think like any retailer, we're constantly poring over sales and merchandising data to see how our customers are interacting with our products. both at a high level, sort of product category level, color level, seasons, and then also at a really granular level. So I don't know how familiar the audience would be with our product, but basically our product is a lot of knitwear and accessories where you can put on different embellishments to your heart's desire. And so we look, at a very granular level. What color is this embellishment? What kind of lettering is it? What specific appliques are people using, and the quantity of them? And sort of using that to determine how we should look at our development calendar and continue to offer customers what they want. I think also we use a strategy where for anything new, we run really small quantities. Sort of as a test, and then if it proves successful, we'll blow it out in a much larger way. And so those are sort of two of the ways. And then lastly, of course, customer surveys, and also through our social channels where we're teasing products and literally just asking customers what they want, which item would they prefer, and seeing if there are strong winners that might help us to think about what to launch next.
So that actually leads right into my next question, because I have seen the sample sales on Instagram stories. So Bow Drape sells online through retailers and via social media. But who are your retail partners, and how do you work with each of them?
Sure. So we've been really fortunate to partner with some great companies. So we are currently working with Nordstrom and Bloomingdale's, also Hudson's Bay, Lord & Taylor, and Macy's. And each of our partnerships are slightly different from one another. Some of them have a real customization focus at the center of the partnership. Others currently only sell some of our pre-made merchandise product. And so what we have found is the best way to partner with them is to sort of start small with each of them. They all work a little bit differently, as you probably know. And so start with them in a small way, see what works for them, and then sort of scale that plan up. And so it really is a true partnership, especially in the stores like Nordstrom and like Bloomingdale's, who have customization at the center of the experience, because we are working with them and literally with the salespeople on the floor to help educate their customer on a new way to shop. Right? Not everybody is used to walking into a store and physically touching and playing with our customization items. And designing their own product on the floor at a Nordstrom or at a Bloomingdale's. So we really work with them on the education piece, which has been huge for us.
So I do remember the pop-up in Nordstrom, and being able to physically kind of put together the apparel piece was a really great touch to customization. Do you see more pop-up shops in the future of Bow Drape?
I do. So we don't necessarily believe in the pop-up as a standalone Bow Drape pop-up, at least not as a temporary space. We like to think about deeper partnerships, more permanent partnerships, and so we are expanding the number of those. What we see in terms of the most effective pop-ups are either brands that have a huge footprint already and a huge brand presence already, but also more sustained presence. So if you're only there for a couple of weeks, there's a lot of setup costs, minimal amount of selling time. And by the time your customer knows that you're there, you're gone, right? So we're thinking about popping up more permanently, let's say.
Absolutely. So on all of these different channels and retail touch points, how do you manage driving foot traffic to retail store locations, to your website, and to your social media channels?
Yes, and we do think about each of them a little bit differently. Without having our own retail locations, we are working to partner with each individual department store and sort of leveraging their customer base in a way that's authentic to our brand. So, whatever events they have on their calendar, we will select which ones we think appeal to our customer and then co-market those. In terms of our own website, we think about it sort of as owned, earned, and paid. And so obviously we try to maximize as much as humanly possible the owned and earned channels. If we can make those really efficient for ourselves, then we're paying less money, which is always a good thing. And so, for our owned, we obviously leverage a ton of our email marketing and our social channels as well. In terms of our earned, we do a ton of influencer marketing. And we like to think about those as genuine, sort of authentic leveraging of the community. We try to shy away from paid placements, which we just don't think are reaching. We just don't think those resonate as well with our girl. And then we do a lot of, the standard paid channels, obviously SEO, SEM, paid advertising campaigns. We work a lot. We try to be where we think our girl is, right? So we're paying for ads on Facebook and Instagram in really targeted ways, and trying to leverage what we think to be where our girl is.
Definitely, and as each customer base and audience is different for each retailer, I know a customer retention strategy is ours as well. How does Bow Drape kind of approach its customer retention strategy?
Yeah, so again, I think it's about being relevant and being present wherever our girl is. So we're really strong in giftables, and we think about gifts for self as well as others. So we like to think on the calendar about, what are the moments, events, and celebrations in her life, and how can we be there and offer her a product that fits those occasions. I think customization really lends itself to that. We're always relevant. It's just really about thinking about the messaging for all of those things. And then again, customer loyalty programs and reaching out, hey, we see it's your birthday.
So taking it back to the beginning, you mentioned that millennial women are a huge market for Bow Drape. How do you engage them, and how do you have any best practices for our listeners of how to reach that market?
Yeah, I think I don't want to harp on this too much, but we are constantly thinking about where we can reach them. Where are they already? So obviously we have a strong social media presence, specifically on Instagram and Facebook, but also Pinterest and Twitter. And we partner with other brands and other companies where we think our girl shops, right? So we've done a partnership with Uber, we've done partnerships with Wink, and a ton of others, but those are just to name a couple. And then in thinking about, our girl texts, she DMs. So we actually use that not only as a marketing tool, but also as a customer service tool as well.
Definitely, and you mentioned a lot of social media in there. Are there any specific retail technology trends that you're tracking at Bow Drape?
There are a ton of things going on in tech and retail, and everyone's trying to figure out a way to capture as much data as possible about their customer in order to serve them best. But when I think about tech trends, I really think about sort of how are we making it more convenient to purchase? How are we integrating online and offline channels? Obviously personalization, and then how are we reducing waste and making people feel like they want to purchase what we have and everything else isn't there. So on the idea of convenience, right? We've got Peloton bringing exercise classes into your home. We've got a huge trend in checkout lists or self-checkout to make the product purchase cycle quicker. So we've got Zara and Rebecca Minkoff with self-checkout. We've got Amazon going all the way to like a checkout-less grocery store, right? I think on the idea of online-offline integration, we see a ton of tech-infused experiences there. So we've got, Reformation is one of my favorite examples of how they're using online and offline Reformation is one of my favorite examples of a retail company using a strategy and tech to reach the customer online and offline in an effective way. And then when it comes to scarcity and reducing waste, you've got the Indochinos of the world, the Bonobos of the world, and again, the Reformations of the world who have physical retail locations but not a ton of product there. And so they're really leveraging data points in store in smaller retail footprints and then serving the customer in a digital way as well. So I think, all of those are really cool. We've got 3D printing. I'm really excited to see where tech innovations for 3D printing are going. I know Adidas has got a big campaign going on with 3D printed shoes. And I think I would be remiss. Now, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in blockchain at all, but everybody's talking about blockchain, and so I'm really interested to see how that's going to affect the retail space.
Absolutely. And so that's kind of the trends happening in 2018 for retail in general. Bringing it back to Bow Drape, can you tell us a little bit about Bow Drape's company culture? I know that's also been a hot topic recently. How does your company culture drive and impact the creative approach for developing newer products?
Yeah, so I think it's a really important question that companies need to be looking at critically. So we really see company culture as an extension of our brand voice. And so our brand voice is all about authenticity, self-expression, fun, and transparency as well in some ways. And so those are sort of the key tenets of our culture, right? We want to be really transparent with what's going on with the business. And so we have a ton of transparency with our employees all the way, top down. We want to be really authentic. And actually, we as a team, a lot of our phrases, actually all of our phrases are sourced internally. And so the voice you see externalized is really the internal voice of our team members, and that sort of goes back to the self-expression. And then obviously fun, right? We're always trying to infuse fun events with the team. So we do team lunches, and we have gatherings in our office space, and recently started a team bowling league. So trying to make it a fun place for people who are doing a lot of hard work.
Absolutely. And so my final question here is that are there any plans for expansion that you can share with us today?
Yeah, so I'm really excited. We're actually planning to launch our own physical retail location. So I gave a nod to sort of we're thinking about popping up more permanently, and that's exactly what we intend to do this year. So I'm really excited to see how we manifest in our own physical retail locations and use tech to inform the customer experience and to make. I think we have a really unique in-store experience for our customers. And I'm excited to see that in our own permanent location.
Well, this has been wonderful. Shelly, I just want to take the opportunity and thank you so much for joining us today and giving us an update on customization and some of the future plans for Bow Drape. Sounds like a lot of exciting things are happening. For more on this episode, be sure to visit our podcast channel page at www.mytotalretail.com/podcast for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play, but please remember to subscribe to our podcast channel page as well. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Total Retail Talks.
This podcast has been brought to you by Synchrony Financial. At Synchrony Financial, we have the payment tools and technologies, promotional financing, and retail insights to put your ambitions in reach. Learn more at synchronyfinancial.com.